Okay, then we have here is the frontier of the knowledge. Oh, sorry, no, spoiler, no, please. We have the, come on, guy. Uh, uh, sorry, I'm really pushing the wrong buttons. Now I go. Okay, here is the frontier of knowledge that we have. Then we have the kernel one, the high school here. Is basically the manual of the world. You learn the, the knowledge of how to act in the world in the high school. Then you go to the undergraduate. In the undergraduate, you learn profession. You go to study a little bit, and you're getting momentum to do something amazing that is to graduate. When you graduate, what do? You push the frontier of technology with your thesis. Wow, this is amazing. Great. And the idea of the journey is something straight. You go straight to push and you get momentum and wow, this is the romantic and naive way of thinking of the topology of the academic journey, right? To be a little bit more realistic, we can say like that. You can see the thesis here. No, we can do a zoom. The thesis is not a big bump, it's a little one. And always, normally you have a wall that you have to break, a really hard wall that you have to break. Oh, sorry. Come on, back. And the journey is not straight at all. You have a lot of problems in the middle. It's exactly the same timing of your life that you have to deal with a lot of stuff. Sometimes you have to have a child. Sometimes you have problems in family. You have to search for a job. It's a really hard time to make a PhD and try to push this frontier of technology. Very hard. But I think this is also romantic. It's a little bit real, more real, but it's also romantic. Okay, to tell a little bit about my journey, I will present to you a character that I call Zé. Zé is the nickname of José here in Brazil, okay? Zé. Zé is a humble, young, curious guy that thought he could change his community. More or less like you all, right? Great. Then, shorty cutting, Zé finally gets to begin his PhD. Wow, now I can change the world. I'm a superhero. I will get all the tools that I need to change my community. Great. What's the problem? A few weeks later, he realized everybody's repeatedly told him that's not the impact of the research that is important. The important is to publish. And it's really hard to do it because you never publish in your life. It's the first time you're learning the process of publishing, and you have to publish to get a job at the end. And you're learning and you're publishing, and this depression is hard. It's not easy. And the dream of changing your community is always getting far away from you. Okay. Then, and you also have to publish before you even have a graduate, or you don't have a job. It's crazy for a PhD guy that's trying to live his life. Okay. But he goes on. What's the problem? A lot of problem in the PhD studies. Don't sleep, stress, burnout. We have the pandemic also in the middle, crazy. Panic attack, anxious. Now I'm a professor and I'm an advisor, and I can see this in my students. It's really hard to see this and try to minimize these stuff, but it's really hard. But where is the problem here? What is the problem? There is a fundamental problem here. And I tried to say, but the problem is that the frontier of the knowledge, one of the problems, the frontier of knowledge is far away. This is hard to get there, to get closer to the frontier. Why so hard to get close to the frontier? Wow. But finally, after all the problems of everything, the now is not the anymore, is Dr. Garcia, has get his PhD. He's very tired, he's really, and in the back of his mind, what he has? In the back of his mind, he has the same idea, but now he thinks, now I have superpower. Now I am a doctor. Now I can finally contribute to my community. Finally. And for his surprise, he goes, get a job, a very good job, working with a professor. And the same week, the first week, what he listened, the amazing phrase, to publish or to die. Is the crazy, wow. Papers are the coins of the academic market. If you want money, you have to publish. If you want to go ahead in your career, you have to publish. Publish, publish, and publish. I was a bit I work a little bit in many places, and this is not only here or there, it's around the world. It's exactly the same thing. Okay, poor Dr. Garcia. But professors are forced to reach research with quick turnaround, and many end up doing projects that couldn't help our community because normally it takes too much time. And the dream of helping the community get every time a little bit. I know you're depressed, don't worry, it will be good at the end. We have a happy ending at the end. But this is more or less what's happened with all of us, or will happen with some of you. But after a while, Dr. Garcia realized something very interesting. He realized something how to hack these systems, how to do something, get the coins, and also help his community. He realized that the topology of the frontier is not exactly this one. And this is why it was so hard to him to get in the frontier. The topology is something like this. It's not a circular one at all. The frontier, this is a myth. I try to explain a little bit more. The real topology of technology is based on something that Descartes, that Newton began long time ago, is completely disciplinary. The idea of reductionism make all technologies follow some lines, some direction. And these areas, physics, economic, biology, chemistry, sociology, and so on, they have a, wow, come on. No, back. Oh, here. You have, you grow up a lot, you have go further in the frontier of technology, but there is a lot of areas. There is the corner one, the interdisciplinary one, that are not so fair. Then the problem of the journey was because you have to do a disciplinary journey. You have to go further and learn a lot of stuff that the academic community did a lot of work before. You're getting the idea? And but you can do an interdisciplinary journey. The frontier is much closer, much closer. It's much easier to get there. There's a lot of knowledge that nobody thought, that nobody, and also problems in your community that nobody thought about before. And it's easier to push the frontier when you go in that interdisciplinary section. It's less difficult to publish when you get the idea. And the more important, is more likely to contribute to the community because it's a far new area. You're understanding the idea? Great, great. Wait, great, great. Okay, interdisciplinary is good, but where is the complexity here? We are in a conference about complexity, right? One can say, wow, it's everywhere. Complexity is everywhere. No, I say 99% of the complexity is Garcia, not me, sorry. Garcia says that it's here, and definitely is here. The complexity are in the corners of the frontier, knowledge frontier. For sure, most part of the complexity. But why complexity is so interdisciplinary? First, you have to understand a little bit of complexity. No one knows what exactly is complexity, okay? But for me, complexity is much more than an area or a technique. For me, complexity is a way of seeing and acting in the world. If you really understand complexity, you change your life. You change the way of your acting, your relation, everything. We can also found a church of complexity. It would be nice. Or you can have a little money and try to do a self-help book of complexity. This is mine. Don't copy, please. This is how to be happy with complexity. It's very, very cool. I always have this idea. One day I will write this book. But okay, then the core of the complexity is interdisciplinarity. The core of the complexity is this. You can say complexity arises from the insufficiency of reductionism in addressing problems that were initially formulated to tackle disciplinary issues. And we did this very well. We have computers, we have data show, we have this amazing pointer. I don't know how it works, but this works amazing. Look at that. In the two screens, wow. This was fruit from the complexity. Oh, sorry, the disciplinary problem that we solved around the past time. But complexity, no, complexity arises in this point. Then complexity, the nature of the complexity is interdisciplinary. And when we finish, I will ask these guys here, probably you see, most of you are working in very strange fields, putting together very different areas. Okay, this is theoretically, this is great, this is amazing. Okay, but in practice, how can you do that? I will try to show you 3 examples of how this works, right? In a very simple way. First one is the tapestry of complex movement. I try to show exactly in the same way that I'm trying to explain to you. The problem, the community problem was the physician have X-rays, blood tests, EEG, fMRI, and the physiotherapist has goniometer. When you go to a physiotherapist, what you do a lot of exercise, and the physiotherapist look at you and say, oh, I think that you're okay, go home. It's a lot of subjectivity in the physiotherapist. This is a huge problem. Why this is a huge problem? Because it's a typical interdisciplinary community problem. And no one gets a look at this because you have to be in the middle of 2, 3, 4 areas. And our objective is to create a method and instruments to characterize complex movement, and especially disorders. The corners, computer science, physicists, physiotherapists, dancers, and engineers put together and think in a way of solving this problem. The result, the first result was the CVMob with a software, an open source software that we did a long time ago to analyze only using a camera to analyze the movement of subjects. And this is downloaded more than 16,000 times all around the world. It's a very simple one. a lot of people using this not only to move, to analyze human movement, but also to analyze fly movements and fishing movements. Is very simple one. Okay, but this is only the first part. You have an instrument, a good instrument to analyze this. But we also did a nice methodology. It was the movement element decomposition that was using engineers and dancing. A dancer guy looked at the movement and said, wow, there's a pattern there. And there is no way in the biomechanics until now, there is no way to analyze complex movement. I say complex movement mean a person dancing, a person walking. Most of the techniques to analyze this was subjective, as I told before. Then we realized that when you decompose the moment, like the toy Lego, you know, Lego, the toy, a lot of equal pieces that you put together in a very complex forms, we can also do this here. And when you do this and you look at the velocity of these elements and the size of these elements, you get a very neat power law function. And this power law function is related to the strategy that you choose to move. The strategy means that how many energy you choose to do this, or how many velocity you do this. It's an amazing way to see. For example, this stuff, this is someone playing a game that in the game you have to move your body from left to right. And here, the red curve, come on, the red curve is the theoretical one of the element that we're proposing. And the points are the real one. This is the first trial. This is the last trial. Then you have now a qualitative way to say the goodness of the movement. This is amazing. We solve a problem. We're trying to solve a problem in the community. And solving this problem is not only the thing. We also have coins. This is the last few years papers that we publish using this methodology. We get coins, you do it, great, knowing a lot of different people, and we also solve the community problem. That is the most important part. This is the tapestry of COVID-19 spread. COVID-19 spread was crazy, but no. This is a huge community problem. This is how it is spread fastly. And the idea is to create a model consistent to the flow of people between cities. There's a lot of interdisciplinary studies doing this. And the solving problem, we did a portal that was actually used to the public agents to evaluate how you can change the flux of two cities. You can close this road, for example, and how can you prevent you can model and predict the behavior of the COVID. And they used this to make decisions, political decisions. And also, we have a lot of coins. Again. And the third and the last one, the tapestry of the brain function. I would love to say a lot of tapestry for you. There is many works, but I really need to hear from you also. The community problem is the dynamic approach of brain function. The normally approach for brain was the static one, and we thought that it's much better to see. We're talking about this problem with neuroscientists. They say to me, no, the brain is dynamic. We need to see the fluctuations of the brain. It's more important to see the general idea. And this is the solution. We made a very simple motif synchronization model that this is a real-time network evolution, 6 seconds of real time. It's what is happening in your brain right now. It's amazing. This is 20 time is lower. You can see the pattern forming, a lot of changing in the topology a long time. The brain is much more dynamic than we thought. And again, a lot of coins. Why? Not because we are amazing guys that know a lot. No, because we are pointing out to a direction that nobody thought. Because the direction is okay. And to finish it, it's impossible to see the beauty of a rug by just look at these colorful lines isolated. If you can, I think that the nature is a colorful rug, and we need to look at from far away and see all the areas interacting with each other, and complex is that. Resuming, we are a bunch of lazy scientists because we don't go in the long journey. But, and this is a big but, we are also a bunch of cool people who care about our contribution to the community and aren't afraid to deal with difference. This is our general idea that I want to talk to you. And I really now need to listen from you, the area that you're from, what you think about this. This is crazy. No, this is nice. What do you think about this idea? I'm really sharing from you my experience, not theoretical, nothing. It's my experience. Thank you, guys. First of all, you understand the talking? Okay, thank you. Great.
Okay, so now is the time for us to ask questions, and I'll start with a question. I have two, but I'll start with one. I saw that one of your papers had the title, Does Meditation Lead to a Stable Mind? So can you tell us first the yes or no, and then second a bit more about that paper? Do you want this microphone?
Oh, obrigado. Okay. The guys online are listening to me also, right? Okay, nice. Great question. I to explain, I can say to you, everything began with this paper. This paper was, everybody talk about the meditation, oh, meditation, but have a stable mind, but nobody tested before. And we need to evaluate this if the brain is actually is more stable when you're in a meditation state. Then we look at a bunch of very that do meditation a long time, very experienced meditators, and we put they to relax and then to meditate. And we analyze the fluctuation of the topology of the network. And voila, really the meditation have a very significant difference in the stabilization of the mind. The topology maintain more or less the same along the time when you are meditating than when you are relaxing. It's a very good paper.
Okay, thanks. And then one sub question.
Yeah.
What does experienced meditator mean? Like the people that you had in the experiments, how much and how often do they meditate?
Good idea. Good question. It was two types of meditation: the Raj Yoga meditation and the Gurdjieff meditation. And the cutoff limit was 5 years of meditation experience, and it's around of, I don't remember exactly the number of hours, but I'm not. You have to read the paper, but it's 5 years of experience of meditation, continuous meditation. Not all the time, of course.
Okay, thanks. Does somebody else want to ask something?
The guys didn't understand everything. They're online, please help me. The guys online.
I do have one more question.
Go ahead.
If nobody else has.
But do you understand? Oh, Dave.
Thank you. Professor, I think you emphasized the positive aspects of interdisciplinarity, and I agree. It's really interesting to see that pursuing this path is easier in a way to, I know, innovate, be innovative in a sense, but I would like you to say something about the difficulties of being
Great, there's
an
a catch.
interdisciplinary researcher. Yeah.
There is always a catch there. The problem is interdisciplinarity is basically the fundamental problem is language. Language is the problem. Is to how to communicate between others. It's very hard to do this. There is a guy named Naomar. There's a very interesting guy here from Brazil that say something very interesting. In if you want to work with interdisciplinary work, you need a guy they call amphibious guy. You need someone who can understand the language for different areas. And for me, this guy is the key of doing this. It's very hard. I can say that if I have a superpower, this is my superpower. I'm not a very intelligent guy at all, but I can talk with different areas and understand them and put the thing to put a good keep together. Great. Well, thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
On the same topic of the problem of being interdisciplinary, I actually try to study creativity and innovation in my PhD. So one of the problems of studying things that are the results at least are interdisciplinary, even the models come from different areas, is that where do you publish, right? Because
Sorry.
the journal in which you publish usually is a high impact one, right? Because it's interdisciplinary, it's not specific to anyone, so you can, if the results are nice, you can try hard. And that's good for one time, but at the same time it takes a lot of time because you have to write in a pop language so that everyone can understand, and it's nice. But then with the same, why I'm saying this is that it happened another time in which I collaborated with neuropsychologists, and it was nice because they were explaining the things to us as complex scientists. We were using our methods and explaining the ideas behind to them, but they were leading the experiment, so they wrote the paper. And for example, in that case, he was sent to Nature Communications, but it was written by neuroscientists. And even myself, that I knew everything about that, I couldn't even understand the results. So it was really bad written for me. But for them, it's normal. It's the way they write. And in fact, I was like, yeah, obviously it's not going to go through, but let's try. And in the end, it got in communication biology. But I see the point, right? If you want to work in this area and you want to be understood, you have to spend a lot of time. I rewrote that paper that now is in review, Nature Communication, another one that I wrote myself. It was like 1 year of writing and rewriting because everyone has to understand. Otherwise, only physicists will understand. And so I don't know. It's good. It's bad. But the community. If you want to reach the community, then it's hard. It's very hard now. I don't know if you have suggestions for. I don't know. It was very confusing my journey.
No, I get.
But yeah.
I get. Basically, my suggestion is be patient. Be patient. Yes, because this is something that you learn. This is a very hard problem in interdisciplinary way of doing in life, because you are interdisciplinary, but the most of the referees, your tribunal are disciplinary. This is a huge problem because you have to do a lot of work to everybody understand. Then you have to be deep in all areas. It's very hard, but with time you know how to say agradar in English. I don't know how to say agradar uh, to please
Yeah.
to please all the areas. Exactly. You know how to do this. With time, it's time. You do.
And
It's
then
hard.
there is also another problem that I don't have yet experienced directly, but through my supervisors, And it is that it's harder to even get funding for interdisciplinary research because it doesn't fit in any. Even myself, I did mathematics, but now I work with physicists, and I don't think I'm doing physics. And like, who am I? You know, and where do you apply for funding? But who do you ask money to, or what problem? Is it particle physics? Is it statistical? It's not really. It's a computer science, and so nobody really funds you. You know, that's a problem of a professor that he was trying and trying and trying, and it was no, but this is not interesting. And any one of them was not. It's not interesting, but for us it is.
This is a way of looking at it. You're looking at the half of the glass globe. You can the full half globe, what I'm saying. Because when you can try different areas, you have a much more way of funding you. For example, us, we the last funding project that we did was in arts. I'm a physicist. Look at that. I get money from arts, from human studying. You have much more ways of getting funding. The problem is that you need a good team. You need a good team. A good team that wrote for one, wrote for another, and the team together has more or less the same language, and we can work to doing a lot of stuff. If you go alone, poor guy. Poor guy. This is not a good way to go. You have to have a good team and had much more opportunities when you're in this interdisciplinary team. Much more. But I agree with you. It's very hard to know what I am. I don't know what I am. For the physicist, I am whatever. For the whatever, I'm a physicist. It's hard. It's a very huge, but my psychologists know this very well. I'm very problematic guy.
Hi, thank you for your talk. Um, it's not really more, it's not really a question, but I kind of understood what you were saying with a lot of stuff, and what I experience a lot is that, so I do graph theory, but I apply it to chemistry, and it's really interdisciplinary what I do. But if I talk to any chemist, even about modeling chemists, they're already like, nah, man, it's not important, not interesting. And if I talk to anyone with networks, it's like, no, it's too chemical. There's like an application there. It's way too much into. So sometimes I feel like it's very interesting what I do, but other people, even if I explain it very well, or really down, how do you say that? Make sure that everyone understands what I'm doing. It doesn't mean that they value it at the right way that I'm doing, so a nice example is that I had a publication, and it's very cool because it uses mathematics to predict chemical properties you can measure experimentally. But then they're like, yeah, well, I mean, that's too black boxy. I mean, we're never going to understand this. When are you ever going to use this? So sometimes they also don't value really what you're doing, because they're like, yeah, well, we already have a method to do this, and why would you reinvent the wheel or so with different stuff? So
I'm almost crying here. I know exactly what I'm saying. You're saying it's very hard, but again, team, team. You have a good team is the key, because I really understand you. You're always sub-evaluated in every corner that you go, because no one understands what you're saying. But you have a good team that can share the idea. They understand the connection between the areas. It's much easier. They understand, they have a way of explaining the people the importance of this. Because what the problem is? Problem more or less is that you don't know how to explain the importance of your work, because you don't have language, you don't have the words, the way of saying it. But you have a team of chemists that also understand your way. They can explain better to the chemistry guys. You get the idea, more or less. Is what happened to me. Is what happened to me. I don't know if it's happened to. I suffer a lot trying to do myself. Then I realized that it's impossible, really impossible. It's really hard. My psychologists know how hard it is to do this alone. But it's great to see. Look, I have to listen more. Come on, Angie. Tell me about your work. What do you do? My partner. Get the microphone. You are also interdisciplinary. Girl, you have superpower.
Uh, so I'm a physicist,
Yeah.
and my master is actually called Physics in Complex Systems, and it was very theoretical.
Mm.
And there were these totally opposite poles in which they really valued the theoretical research about complex systems, but there's no way in the middle. Then you go to the applications in which they don't value it as much, coming from physics, of course.
Of course.
So yeah, I didn't know that this was a recurrent thing in the field. So it's I think I'm not sure if it's the case only for me, but one feels a bit reassured that these things happen, but also we appreciate your experience and also uh, being mindful about how important it is to have a good team. And what I'm getting from that is that it's important to have like not only people with different types of skills, but also a network that kind of covers these different fields that one is trying to merge. So that would be what I would take from your talk.
Oh, thank you, Angie. I think at the end we can do a therapist group here to everybody talk about your suffering of the problems. It will be amazing. Uh, tomorrow, I'm here tomorrow. I have to be here
Be
tomorrow.
prepared for tomorrow. Bring the tissues.
But it's amazing. I mean, exactly, exactly. This is different ways of looking at this. But thank you, guys. Any question more? The people online, something? Okay.
Maybe I have a question. I think for me it's clearer to see how, or maybe throughout the research, it's clearer for me to see how these disciplinary paths contribute the interdisciplinarity.
Mhm.
But I think what comes from us not, or the interdisciplinary part not being as worth it for some researchers, comes from the interplay between these two. Like for me, I'm trying to have it clearer how the interdisciplinarity, and when I talk about it and what I do, how it can contribute to the disciplinarity. And it would be something interesting, maybe if from your experience you have it clearer. But for me, it was more like a path that I had to go through.
It's normally a very hard part. We have to. We can talk later because this is another talk. Basically, I'm just saying it's a very long talk about this stuff. It's not easy. The the relation between interdisciplinary works and disciplinary work, how a guy from disciplinary work see the interdisciplinary way, and how the interdisciplinary way can add something in the disciplinary way is not an easy path. Normally, the experience that I have, the guys that go in the disciplinary way, don't look behind. They think that we are behind. Normally, they think that the disciplinary work. Oh no, this is not physics. Even sometimes that is not science. Sometimes, right now we are studying the mediumship trance. It's a very crazy study that we're trying to see the signature of the brain. If the signature of the brain changes when the guy get the mediumship trance. And everybody say to me, you're crazy, this is not science. Why is not science? This is a really interdisciplinary hard area. And the guys who love the spiritual stuffs, that many say, oh, this is not science, this is a pseudoscience. But many of the pseudoscience is not exactly pseudoscience, is much more or less an opinion than a pseudoscience, because nobody study harder this area sometimes. If you take a look, these areas needs a lot of study. And we are trying to do this direction too. But it's amazing.
Hi. I come maybe from like the other side in social science, where I think the critique is not so much that it's what is this? Is this really scientific? And it might be the opposite. And I think there's lots of there's like the community of physicists usually who do complex systems and then come and tell social scientists that, well, you know, our models work for to describe this. I think there's a lot of hard feelings towards these people, and it tends to develop into a discipline in itself instead of actually. I mean, social science has always developed through interdisciplinarity, like through statistics, through, and so it's interdisciplinarity that, like you said, contributes to the disciplinarity. But now it's become like sociology uses statistical methods, and so I guess the objective would be to just integrate complex approaches in the disciplinary thing, so it wouldn't be interdisciplinary anymore. But it's something that is not happening because it's a separate discipline, basically.
Exactly. Neuroscience is the same thing. Neuroscience is a genuine interdisciplinary area. It's impossible to do neuroscience without doing interdisciplinary work. But it's a great.
So first, I was gonna ask you, how do you know if what you're researching when you're doing something interdisciplinary is legit? But you basically kind of gave the answer when you said have a team with people that are from different disciplines. So now I'm wondering, can you tell us about some possibilities about how to actually get a team like that or become a part of a team like that? Because it sounds really cool, but I have no idea where to start.
Wow. Great question. I can tell you my history, the way that I get there. Everything began in 2008 with one question. We tried to put together artists and physiotherapists. I call it a zoo of science, because I have a lot of people. And it's not only putting together the people that you get this team. It's not easy. It's a long effort of trying to make talks to different areas and to teach the people how to understand and respect the ideas from another area. It's a lot. It's kind of a Buddhism way of thinking of science. It's like you have to forget a little bit about the things that you attached with. You have to let it go sometimes. For example, mathematics. The physicists love mathematics. Love. Sometimes I have to let it go mathematics a little bit to try to explain for I don't know, social science guys how network works without using math. Then it's not easy. It's work, very hard work. But I think that the key stuff is language. We have to try to teach each area the language of everyone. And when you get this team, oh man, attach to it with the strength that you have.
But my question is a bit more practical. So before I get to the point where we're teaching each other the language of our respective disciplines, how do I even find that group? How do I get into such a group? Or even how do I start such a group?
Pray every day of your life. You have lucky enough to get these guys. I have luck. It's get out of your comfort zone. This is the first step. Go to see other. I did the first semester of psychology. I did almost the entire course of arts. I did also geophysics. I go there. I went there to get these people. You have to go far from your comfort zone. It's not easy. But you have also to get lucky as I get. Pray. Pray is a good idea. Pray.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for your talk. I want to ask you about the if somewhere are some tools to build these teams, interdisciplinary teams. I am from the sustainability science, another interdisciplinary science, absolutely. And I have too much problems with my academic committees because they tell me, no, this is a physics framework, this is a physics protocol, and I have to integrate social, economic, and environmental science. And it's very difficult integrate these concepts in a framework to sustain with the academic committee. There are somewhere some tools for that.
Wow. I don't know. Sorry. I really don't know how to answer this question. I actually I don't use any tool. What exactly you mean with tools?
Some protocols or frameworks from interdisciplinary. I don't ask for transdisciplinary. I have to do transdisciplinary science, but only with interdisciplinary. I am happy with some tools from you. I don't know.
Yes, I really don't know how to.
I have to build frameworks and protocols in.
Now I am getting your point. It will be amazing to have these tools. We don't have these tools. No, I don't know. No, none of the tools. But we're amazing to do one. And you get me a very good idea right now.
Yes. They are asking for frontier studies, but they tell me this is a physics framework. This is no work in sustainability science.
To try to make a framework that can be runs in different areas will be, it's a great idea. Great idea. It's mine, it's not yours. That's not my idea.
Thank you.
Okay, I found, I thought of a question. So I'm in my final year of my PhD, and I'm not completely sure if I want
You are one that the guys that are stressed. Oh, okay.
Well, I'm still doing fine.
Good, very good, very good.
No, so I'm not sure if I want to stay in academia. And I feel like in academia, there's more and more indeed interdisciplinary corporations and stuff. Or, but how is that in industry, for instance? Is it also interdisciplinary a lot, or is that more? I have no idea about that. Do you have an idea about that?
You said industry.
Yeah,
Wow.
for instance, companies or so. Is there's also like interdisciplinary?
I have the opportunity to work in Harvard a little bit, and because in Brazil the industry is really far away from the academia right now, but in Harvard it's crazy because the industry is exactly in the front door of the academia, waiting for something, and I get a very interested experience there because you have someone in the group that is responsible to do this connection with the industry. And this is amazing because most of the products there, you think in how you're going to make this work for the society immediately after. Then you have someone responsible for that. But here in Brazil, it's very hard. Here it has a long way to go to the industry. It's a pity, but very good question. Very good question. This guy, this guy is normally a marketing guy that has this also in the team that know a lot of what we're doing, and they know the connection with the industry the way, because it's in Harvard it's much easier to do this because in Harvard as I said, the industry is exactly waiting for something like that, and there is a lot of mechanism inside the university to transform your idea in stuffs, in real stuffs, and make new, how to say, empresas is new. David, help me. Empresas, how to say empresas? Enterprise, new stuffs. And much, I have two friends of mine from Harvard that finish his PhD and make a new enterprise. One for volleyball stuffs, the very nice guy that automated the way of measured the height, the state, and the stuffs. And another one from robotics. It's very good. Okay, good.
Then since like in, for example, in Brazil, but it's the same in Italy, we don't have this figure, no? But you think is there something that we as ourselves can do to make in contact with someone that we have a lot to do already as academics.
Exactly.
I know, but maybe we can have. I don't know. Do you do any of this, or maybe just talk to a marketing guy, but it's not in your group, but it's
No,
or something else. I don't
don't
know.
work. Sorry, you're completely right in terms of we have a lot of to. It's impossible to us to make everything. As a professor, you not only you, the most part of you, it's amazing period of time. You don't because as a professor, you have a lot of stuff to do, much more than research. It's impossible to us. Really, I tried. I really tried. It's really impossible to us to go in this direction. We need to have someone fully to do this. And some universities are began to understand this idea, and they trying to do this to have a sector or a guy that do this, but it doesn't work well because this guy don't know your work, don't know the importance of your work, and they can try to make the contacts, but it's not the same. It's which works is you have to have this guy in your team this work because they know how to sell your ideas. I don't know if I answered your
But
question.
yeah, but maybe in your funding, could you include to have a part of the fund to pay a marketing guy, let's say, but it's not. Maybe it's an ex-PhD student who doesn't really want to do research anymore, understand you, and but just want to work with. I don't know. Have you thought about that, or is it possible even?
We try this also, but don't work. We try to contract a guy from marketing to try to make this possible. The best we can do is to make it public. A marketing guy to do the social media, to explain to everybody. But in order to sell, to construct, to make your idea happen in the world, is for example, this CiviMob software that we did to analyze the movement, whatever. This is amazing. Two enterprise contact us to buy the software. And I ask, but if you buy the software, you're going to stay open source and free? They say, of course not. Then I say, no, because there is another very interesting point. For me, I'm working a public university, and I think that is the old Zé that have the superpower idea of helping the community. If I come from a public university, I have the duty to contribute to the university because all my life the public I has public study. They pay to me to be here, to stay here. Then I have to get this feedback. This is my point of view. But you're right. Also, doing this in a free way, it's hard. Hard. For example, the city mob, we began in 2008. 2008. We began to have downloadings, a lot of downloads in 2020, 2019. Then there was a bunch of downloadings, a lot of people asking a lot, asking to use the software and go on. But it's a long journey, long journey. But in the middle of the journey, you get a lot of coins. Don't worry about that. A lot of coins.
Does anyone online also have questions or
Online,
here on
guys online.
site?
Maria?
Yeah. Can I ask something? If do you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know if you actually already talked about this, but you mentioned that the problem with interdisciplinary is that we always follow like a more disciplinary journey. So do you think it would be a good idea to introduce the interdisciplinarity earlier in the education life, like in the yeah, in the process of becoming a scientist and so on?
If the question I got it correctly is the you think it's a good idea to have like a module or something during your education about interdisciplinarity? Can you teach it or is it correct?
Amazing question, Maria. Is that correct? This is the question?
Yeah, like if it's a better idea to introduce the
In
concept of
education.
interdisciplinarity earlier in life, let's say.
Wow, this is an amazing question. Right now, we are trying to do this really hard, because all the society, the entire society is disciplinary. The culture is disciplinary. Then it's very hard to try to change the way of thinking in the base levels of the education without thinking in the future, because it's really hard. Now I have some projects in a very poor places in here in Salvador that we're trying to do this. But I can tell you it's really hard, mostly because of the fathers of the children, because the father of the children are completely disciplinary. And if you try to break this idea, they say, wow, my son, they have to be something. They have to be physicists, have to be engineer, they have to be something. I don't like this way of teaching of yours. Don't like when you break the frontiers of the disciplines and say, you have a problem, you have to try to solve this problem, and let's put together all the knowledge that we have, and we don't have this knowledge, let's try to search this knowledge to solve this problem. They call it the problem-based learning education. You know that? It's a way of doing this. I think it is a good way to do it interdisciplinarily in the first levels of the education. I think it's my expertise.
What's the name of the program again?
The name of the is problem learning, education based in problem learning. You have a problem, and there's no discipline. There's a problem. We have to solve this problem. From that body, everybody try to understand the problem and try to solve this problem. In the journey of the solving problem, you learn a lot in a very interdisciplinary way. I don't know if you answered your question, Maria.
Yes, yes. Thanks.
I think that someone is trying to.
Irene, we
Irene.
don't hear you. No. If you were asking, no. If you wanna, you can write your question or comment or whatever.
I'm loving this. It's amazing. It's great to see the opinion of everybody. Very good, very good. Very good, very nice. This conference will be crazy. We have two satellites here in this conference, the biomechanical one and the neuroscience one. And we have a lot of stuff doing there. If you have the opportunity. Computational social science. Yeah, great. There's a lot of.
I would like to make some comments
Go ahead.
related to the discussion, because while she writes the question, and I'm actually part of a multidisciplinary program that I met you in a course there, and this is where I don't know around the world, but in Brazil it's the only one that I know from many universities. I don't know if they have multidisciplinary programs, and being part of a multidisciplinary program, it's much easier to meet people from different areas. So in this case, it's an initiative from 6 universities that joined together and created a program, a multidisciplinary and multi-institutional program.
A PhD program.
Yeah, and it's amazing because I have colleagues from, I'm from language studies, but I have colleagues from math and physics and biology and etc. and medicine and so on. And I met amazing people and share ideas that it's outside of this disciplinary way of viewing things, and we learn to talk with people from different disciplines. And but I know that in this sense it was an initiative that came from the institutions, and being part of it helped me to meet those people. I don't know if you are in a disciplinary program how to do it. I think, as Professor Garcia said, attending events from different areas, that is not our main area of inquiry. And something that is really fun is when someone asks why what I study and at which university I study, because I have to say the list of the 6 universities. I study at UFBA, UNEB, IFBA, you know, but it's amazing because it's a different way of studying. I'm not like I'm a student at Cimatec at here because it's also part of the program. So I also study at UFBA and at UNEB. It's really nice to have this freedom, and I expect to see initiatives like this from different institutions. But I know for us as individuals, it's really hard to, you know, to look for it. I'm lucky to have this, to be part of this program, and I don't know if, I think people could try to know this kind of programs if there are others, because I only know PPGDC. Okay, so a friend of mine, it's a son of someone who was on this program, so it was family. And that was the way that I knew about it. I started reading publications of the professors from the program, and I found a place that I thought it would be nice for me. It is. It's being really nice. So as individuals, I don't know what we can do, but I believe that institutions can try to, you know, do this kind of opportunities to researchers to be more multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary, and so on.
Great, great. This is a very important point. When you guys get in the director of the university that you're, then you can try to make this happen. Okay.
But I mean, the courses of complex systems you are oftentimes interdisciplinary. No, I don't know how was your experience at ING, but isn't it like complex systems research and courses are interdisciplinary? They are not really physics, not in the theoretical physics point of view.
You have a course, a complexity course in,
there are
in physicists.
There are a couple of them I know in Europe at least, or 2 or 3.
Genuinely, you do an undergraduate
physics
course?
of complexity. Usually it's a master, 2 years master.
Yeah, exactly.
Physics of complex systems.
Physics of exactly.
Or it's called like that, but it's not real physics. You have application on everywhere. So
look at what he said. It's not real physics.
Yeah, it's
look
true.
At it. Look at that. It's not
anyway,
real physics. There's something there. Yeah.
I'm not a physicist, so I can
tell. You can tell.
No. Jokes aside, there is 2 comments. So Irene was trying to say something. I will read what she wrote. Okay. It looks like there is a lot of resistance, not only from researchers, but also from society to become interdisciplinary, like a sort of Le Chatelier principle acting. I don't know what that is, to prevent the system to be perturbed. Which would you say that can be the most effective catalyzer to break this natural resistance? Maybe art, music, festivals who can get to everyone at once?
Wow, great question. Amazing question. Again, I will talk about my experience. One of the most incredible experience I had in order to try to break these barriers of the society was a work did in Madrid, amazing work did in Madrid, that a computer science together with a bunch of artists tried to make a huge mural that a lot of people around the world can draw something there from their home, they only see a local place, the local vicinity, the neighborhood of yrCSS, and try to complete the drawing. Then this is a huge project in Madrid, and we did it. It's an art project, completely art project that put together a lot of scientists from computer, mathematics, physics together, engineer, to make this happen. This, I look into you, but I have to look to Iran. Uh, this was the breaking ice most important of my life. To see people burning their minds, say, wow, this is crazy. This is another way of thinking and living. Was amazing. This work together. It's an experience. Then, answering your question, I think art is the gateway for me. It's one of the gateway because if you look here, a lot of people doing something crazy. You know, there's music, they're doing drawing. This guy for me is drawing. This guy is drawing. You saw that the drawing is amazing. The art is that. I think the art is in our heart. The mathematicians, no, they don't have heart. But the other guys, yes, they have heart.
Irene said a beautiful thing. And then there is another comment by Georgina. Thanks a lot for the great talk. I have a question. How long does it usually take for you and your team from the start of a research project to its publication? Many thanks.
Very good question also. At the beginning, a lot of time. A lot of time at the beginning. But now that we know how to do this, it's all the publication that I show in the presentation are from last year. We are now doing the research in the team, looking at using the team in a very fast way because we know the words to use. You know the place that we publish around the worst one was in the last 2 years was 6 months. Look at that. This is a very good example. You can't imagine what the number of questions of the referees was 733 questions. 700 questions from the referee. You saw it? I never saw it in my entire life. 700 questions from 5 referees. Why? Because we try to publish in a genuine disciplinary journal. But we said, no, we are going to publish this paper in this journal. And the second round was around 60 questions. And now we are waiting for another one. If you go in this direction, we have only 3 or 2 questions, the next one. But it's much easier, I can tell you, when you get the feeling, when you know the journal, when you know how to write, it's much, much easier than a disciplinary way, much easier.
There is another question. What is the perfect, always Irene, what is the perfect size for an interdisciplinary team?
I have no idea. Depends a lot. Well, and also there is something very important here in terms of the size. You know? It's impossible to make a team that is always the same because you have PhD students that go forward, that go ahead in your lives, do other stuffs. Then you have to make a culture to pass through the time and the people that are there. And the culture is always talking, always have talking from different. We try to make talks that everybody from different areas is there. It's hard at the beginning. I usually say that the first guy in the group that get into the first 3 months, they can't understand nothing because they are talking about the projects, a lot of stuff's crazy. And when you get through the critical point, it's amazing to see the people trying to contribute to the paper from different areas, completely different areas. Then it's possible to say the size, the perfect size. It's really impossible to say this, but it's important to say that you have to make a culture. I'm saying right, the culture of. Please help me. Culture. So thank you very much. Culture. I have to say a culture to discuss this. Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question or a comment? Eva?
Okay, I have one question. You showed us that you wrote a self-help book that tells us how to use complexity to be happy, and you didn't tell us what are your key findings.
You have
So
to buy the
I'm
book.
curious.
You have to buy the book. You have to buy the book.
At least the teaser, like 1 or 2 points.
No. It's amazing this question actually because I'm a professor and I have a discipline called complex system that I do the discipline in the PhD program that he said. And how can you explain complexity of a bunch of people from completely different areas? It's really hard. And always, always, in the end of the discipline, everybody say to me, this discipline changed my life. And I begin to ask people, how this discipline change your life? Is crazy. Because when you look at the way of nature works, when you look at the chaos theory, the unpredictability, the way of non-linearity, and you look at this not only in academia, but you look at it in real world. You say, wow, nature work like this. I'm nature. My life is nature. Then why not thinking about this? There's a guy amazing that say, my life now is surfing in the waves of the cows. I love this phrase. From now, I'm surfing the wave of cows. If something happened, I say, "Oh, this is a wave. Let's go. Let the wave. Let me go in the wave of the cows." And it's a kind of this. I'm always joking about this book, but I really think that if you understand complexity, you change your life.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else?
Thank you very much for amazing talk. I have a question about research community because you spoke a lot about communities. So I'm technically from university without departments and like I'm studying artificial life, so it should be like perfect for that.
One thing, please speak a little bit slow.
Sorry,
This is not so.
So I'm from university without departments, and
Mm.
like it should be like very interdisciplinary. But still, like if you go like for outside communities and like for existing disciplines, people still don't consider like interdisciplinary research as like valid research field, and like in the best case, they just combine everything under like umbrella of interdisciplinary research. So does it mean that like interdisciplinary just became another discipline and just like it's like separate field, like umbrella term for what is between? Thank you.
I don't know if I understand well your
Sorry.
question. Let's see if you understand. Please tell me. But this idea of putting together different areas is not doing interdisciplinary research at all. This is what's about the question.
No, my question is that like some people just just combine all of the interdisciplinary research in one of like interdisciplinary field and like make it like one separate field. So that
A
it's
separate
good, but
field, okay.
is it just called like all interdisciplinary research as one special type of the discipline? It's like one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, great question. I don't think so, if I understand well. So your question is that if you can make the interdisciplinary area a kind of disciplinary way, exactly, right? Great. I don't think so at all, because it's impossible to do this, because the interdisciplinary, the nature of the interdisciplinarity exactly is to changing all the time. It's impossible to do this, in my point of view. My point of view.
That's my question, that like people started to do that like from like academic perspective, they just make like department of interdisciplinary research and it's just like another department, something like this.
Yeah, to be talking to by my heart, I can tell you, for me, The basic idea is to break all the disciplinary. Break this. You don't need this anymore. We really don't need this anymore. If you want to study physics, it's great, but you don't. How can I say this to you? Because I think it's much more important not exactly what you know. It's exactly the values that you have in order to search for knowledge. This is much more important. For me, it's much more important. When I look at the students, I don't look at what he knows, the size of knowledge that they have. I look at the values, which values they have. He likes to search knowledge. He's motivated to do this. He have creativity. This is much important for me. And when you try to do something like that, say, oh, a department of multidisciplinary studies is maybe good to try to do what I said, to join people, but I don't think in terms of future, a good idea. But it's an opinion, my opinion, totally my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, thank you very much. It was amazing, amazing video. I learned a lot.